So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can use phrase for content creation and use that sort of as a service as well, which I think is very topical for this group. So in particular, phrase uses artificial intelligence to help you create and optimize content fast, and it helps you make sure that that content is highly relevant to your audience by making sure that that content answers your audience's questions. So the best and most engaging content always answers your audience's questions, and so that's sort of what this whole platform is built on. And you'll sort of understand that a little bit more as I get going here. But I think in terms of services, a lot of what the agencies that we use in terms of turning this tool into a service, they generally focus on content refreshes. They work with their clients to either overhaul their websites by creating new content to refresh their content, to refresh existing content, or optimize existing content to improve the rankings of sites for certain search terms or whatever their goals are. So I'm going to dive really quickly into a few of the features and phrase that I think will be particularly relevant. But the main things I'm going to talk about are the ideation process for content creation, the question research process, the content brief generation process, and the content optimization process. So I'm going to really quickly touch on all of those phases of the content creation and content optimization processes. So here we are in phrase. Like I said, this is a fully AI powered tool, so you don't have to say, is this being outsourced? Because as you'll see, this stuff is generated and optimized in seconds, not hours or days. So there's no risk that we're sending this off to some other agency to do behind the scenes. So where I'm going to start here is for many people, many agencies that are working with their clients, they're often not experts in the topic that they're being asked to write about. And so one thing that you have to do that's usually very tedious and time consuming is research. Usually that's on Google, right? Understanding what are the sort of the ins and outs, the idiosyncrasies and complexities of a certain topic, and how do you understand those well enough so that you can create high quality and high performing content for your client. And so the place where I'd recommend starting is this topic ideas section. So if you say, okay, I know that I need to create some content about, let's go with an easy example. Search engine optimization, right? Now, what about search engine optimization should I be looking into? What phrase creates here is this, what we call a concept map. And what this does is it connects to Wikipedia knowledge graph to give you a really high level understanding of search engine optimization, the main topics related to that topic of interest, and the categories related to those topics. So for example, if I wanted to say, okay, I don't know anything about search engine optimization, this might be a place where I start. So I can look into this and I can say, all right, maybe I'm interested in looking deeper into hypertext or anchor text in particular. So it will reformat itself. It will show us new topics related to the anchor text and categories related to those topics. Plus, it will automatically use artificial intelligence to summarize the Wikipedia article about anchor text. Now, this isn't going to make you an expert in anchor text as a topic, but it is going to bring you from knowing zero about what anchor text is to at least knowing whether or not that might be something you're interested in writing about. So once we have that, okay, we're interested in anchor text, we've got a couple options, and I'll dive into one in a second. The main option is going to be we can create a content brief right off of that topic, and that's sort of what I'll look into in a second. But before we get to that, I want to show you how to run question research off of that topic. So this other feature I want to show you is called question research, and this is where phrase really starts to get unique in terms of the value that we provide. If you want to create engaging content, like I mentioned before, you need to understand the questions your audience has about that content. So what phrase will do is it will connect your search topic to, hold on, let me run this, to every single forum on the internet, and every question on those forums, plus search autocompletes that are related to your topic of interest. So we put in anchor text, which is the topic idea that we got from this topic idea section, and Phrase is showing us on Quora and Reddit and YouTube channels and lots of other places questions that are related to this topic. So if we want to create a really high quality, some really high quality content that's going to answer the questions of our audience, this is probably where we would want to start. So for example, if we want to start with something simple, maybe we want to just start with anchor text. What is anchor text? We can start right here, or if we want to get a little bit more complex, that's available down here too. But this really gives you an idea of how specific you may need to get in order to create the content that answers your audience's questions. So for the sake of this example, let's start with something really simple. Let's say, what is anchor text? We want to create some content about that. What we're going to do is we're going to create a content brief on this topic. And what Phrase will do here is it will take that query, what is anchor text, and it will essentially search Google for that search query. It will return the top 20 Google search results. It will analyze them, and it'll automatically generate this content brief. So these are the sources that it's processing. So these are essentially the top 20 results on Google for what is anchor text, right? And it's generating for us a high quality content brief. Now, usually creating a high quality content brief can take hours. And it's a lot of painstaking and annoying research on Google and other sources. But what Phrase does is it automates that process so that you don't have to worry about it. So here's our automatically generated content brief. And like I said, this took about 10 seconds. So you don't have to worry about Phrase outsourcing this to another agency. But I'm going to dive into a little bit what we see here. So on our left is our content brief, and I'll dive in, I'll sort of explain this in a second. But first, I want to look at what we have on our right. Now, these are the sources that that Phrase has analyzed in order to generate this content brief. So you can see Moz and WordStream and SEMrush and Neil Patel all have some content about this topic. And you can see also that Phrase is automatically summarizing those articles. So you can sort of quickly look at them and say, okay, yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting. Maybe I want to exclude this. Maybe I want to exclude that. So really helpful to get an idea of what your competitors are writing about in the topics that they're including in their content. But then now here's what you're really interested in, the content brief itself. So we have this broken down automatically into a few different sections. The overview, which shows sources processed, average word length, links per source, a list and summary of the sources, high similarity topics included in those sources, that is high similarity to your topic of interest, which for us is what is anchor text, high frequency topics, less frequent topics, so outliers. You have highlights for top topics. You have competitor subsections, helpful for structuring your content. You have statistics, and you have links for backlinking purposes. Now, the agencies that we work with, and about 75% or so of our customers are agencies, what they'll do with this is they will take this source and they will edit it. So this is very much like a Google Doc. I mean, it's as editable. You can make this any way you want. You can add, you can delete whatever you don't like. Nope, I don't like this. That's not relevant. You can also do some cool things up here on this this toolbar. You can see all the headings that your competitors are using. So maybe you say, okay, yep, I really want to add a section about code sample. Boom, with one click we've added it to our content brief. Succinct anchor text. Yeah, this stuff is really good. Oh, you know what? I want to turn those into H3s. Now we've got those into H3s. But what's also cool is just like the other questions feature that I showed you, you can access those same things, those same questions in the the content editor as well. So you can understand, okay, here are the questions people are asking, and here's what I need to include if I want to engage with my audience and answer the questions that they have. My internet's a little slow, so it's clocking a little bit. But this is really helpful for creating content and creating content briefs in particular really quickly. And then when you're done, what our agency customers will do generally is they'll export this entire document and send it to their writer or the writers that they work with, either in a Microsoft Word or a Google document. So you've gone from taking hours or days to create a high quality and data-driven content outline to a few minutes. So a lot of our agencies, if they're running content refresh services for their clients, they might say, hey, we're going to refresh everything on your site that has to do with search engine optimization. And within 15 or 20 minutes, they've got 5 or 6 well-researched content outlines that are ready to send to writers to create that content. So that's the content creation process. I really want to quickly touch on content optimization, on-page optimization as well, because that's also something that we offer. So if we pull a random article, what is anchor text from the internet? Let's see, how about we pull this Moz article? Let's see if this is any good. Sure, let's use this. Never used this example before, so bear with me. What we're going to do is we're going to optimize this page. So we're going to say, I want you to optimize this URL for this search query. Or if you haven't published an article yet, you can always just paste the raw content into this box as well. So if you have a Google Doc or a Word document, you can just control copy the entire thing and paste it right here, and you're good to go. But since we're using a published example, we're going to do that. And what Phrase will do is it will take that article that we took from the internet. So here's the Moz article. We've got it in our content editor. And what it will do is it will give us this neat little sort of paint by numbers topic and keyword optimization tool on our right. So what this is doing is it's comparing our article to the top 20 performing articles on Google for this search term. Anchor text. What is anchor text? And it's giving us the exact roadmap, the crystal ball that we need to consult in order to improve the ranking of this article. So for example, if we look through here, we can see all sorts of different topics and keywords that we are mentioning that we are not mentioning that our competitors are. So for example, we are mentioning ranking factor 0 times. Our competitors are mentioning it an average of 3 times. There's an opportunity there, right? Now, on the other side, we're mentioning search queries once. Our competitors are mentioning it once, so we're all set there. We're mentioning link building 5 times compared to our competitors that are only mentioning it once. So maybe we can sort of lay off on that, right? And the cool thing about this is as you go through, and again, this is fully editable, we could say something like anchor text distribution is important, whatever. Phrase will recognize that you are improving the topics in your score. And if you notice, we were just at a topic score of 43%. Now that's the algorithm that Phrase uses to evaluate your content compared to your competitors' content. So we are just at 43%. Just by adding that topic, we've gone up to 44%. Now the bad news is that compared to our competitors are scoring an average of 46.8% on this proprietary algorithm that Phrase uses. So the good news is that we have everything what we need in this screen to improve the ranking of this article. The bad news is we have a little bit of work to do that, but we're with a few minutes or at most an hour of some topic and keyword optimization on this content, we can easily blow our competitors out of the water and improve the ranking of this article. So that's sort of an example of going, from the ideation phase, the question research phase, the content brief generation phase, and then the content optimization phase, the full spectrum of content creation, workflow that you would need to employ in order to refresh content for one of your clients. Radically faster, radically simpler. So yeah, that's sort of the quick run through.
Love it, Matt. And I was just chatting with you, Matt. I want to showcase, the service side of this. So like obviously Matt and Booz as agencies are considering, this is great for your agency's website. Yes, you can use this to rank for keywords and get some new deal flow in. But I think what's most compelling about this is, I'd love to sell this as a service to clients and say, hey, we can outrank competitors. We can do all this stuff. We can quickly and easily and honestly just inexpensively create what would take a number of man hours to produce, which is these content briefs, and essentially have a winning strategy that's more or less out of box around SEO, where a lot of the stuff, in my past experience with SEO agencies, this would cost me $5,000, depending on how many of these you wanted and how many of these sort of topic audits that Phrase produces programmatically. These things used to cost me so much money. So that's where my head's kind of going towards, like, okay, you want to rank for a keyword, you need this amount of content per month. How do you easily come up with content ideas, and how do you put that into a workflow? That's content idea, brief goes to writer produces content gets published on your site. That's where this is incredibly valuable. Whether you showcase Phrase in that workflow to the client or not, or white label it, that's up to you as an agency. But you saw how valuable this is. But any questions from Booz? I know Matt, you're a little bit deeper into Phrase, but Booz, do you have any other questions? I saw the keyword research tool question, which is an important one. But any other questions?
So are you saying with this edit, it would be possible to jump the ranks within a few months if you produce quality content?
Yeah, faster than a few months. Yeah, we have customers that have gone from page 10 to the 3rd position on Google with this tool, with the content optimization tool. So yeah, you can definitely jump the ranks.
Yeah, it's the way I used to, just to articulate, Booz, the way I used to do this with the way Phrase pumps out these content briefs. I used to go to Keyword Planner, and I used to, use a little bit of Moz and some of the other tools, but I used to come up with entire lists of related keywords. So it would be main keyword, and then it would be long tail keyword. And then I used to have to go underneath each long tail keyword and figure out what sub keywords to put throughout the text to make sure that I had a long form post, like a really, 2,500 word article. It could be a page that I was pretty certain had all the relevant keywords underneath that main keyword that I wanted to rank for. And then I'd have to go and develop backlinks and all that kind of stuff for it. But that used to take me hours in the keyword planner because it was just so time consuming to figure out. With Phrase, it's the question list that he showed in the beginning of all the questions that produce underneath that keyword. That is essentially the starting point, and then that rolls up into a content brief. And like he showed you, the content brief, if you just did a keyword search and then handed that content brief off to a writer that understood, the topic, or understood, the purpose of writing for SEO, that's 5 minutes of your time. Then the writer does their work. But
the other thing about, go ahead.
It sounds like you kind of turn SEO from a technical problem to a content problem, because usually people are talking about like keyword density and all these other things, and now it's just more like cover this topic and you're gonna rank.
Yeah, so I think that, so generally speaking, what Phrase is doing is, instead of focusing on density and things of that nature, it's really comparing your content to your competitors' content that's outranking you. And usually it's as simple as understanding, okay, this is, and obviously SEO algorithms are incredibly complex and no one really knows, but these are the topics that my competitors are covering. And this is why they're outperforming me. So at Phrase, we're much more interested in understanding, okay, as you mentioned, what's the content that's missing from my content? What are the topics that are missing? And why is it that the readers or the SEO algorithms are prioritizing my competitors' content over mine? In topic analysis, AI-powered topic analysis is definitely a good way to do that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
So when I first saw this, guys, we've had, as a HubSpot partner, we've had this idea of topic clusters drilled into us for a while now. And when you show the bit with the concept map, and it's you see the semantic relationship between the core term and some of those other terms that sit around it, that for me, you can build a topic cluster pretty easily. You can so you have your central kind of pillar hero piece. You can be creating articles that kind of sit around it and give it strength as well. So I think that for me is, I mean, you can talk about domain authority and backlinks and all of that side of things, which, there will be other tools and other services that kind of answer that side of things. But I don't think brands and I don't think agencies put enough stock in strengthening your own site, the relationship between your own articles and the strength of the content itself to do everything that you can that's under your control before focusing on stuff that kind of sits in the outside world.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you touched on it too, but a lot of the agencies that we work with will use that concept map for content planning purposes, where they say, okay, not only am I going to create, I'm not only going to optimize this article, or I'm going to create this content brief. Now I'm going to make sure that you're well prepared to rank for every major topic related to search engine optimization or related to potato chips or whatever. And for a lot of people, I think I talked to an agency in Australia that works with roofing companies. They don't know anything about roofing companies in Australia. I don't know anything about roofing companies in Australia, but really quickly with that concept map tool, they can sort of understand it and understand, okay, these are different types of roofing materials and which ones perform well in different types of weather and, whatever. So you don't go from knowing nothing to knowing an expert. You can get a lay of the land really quickly. And that can be a really time consuming and tedious process that's automated with a topic cluster or a concept map. So great for
one thing here, Booz, and Matt knows this, and Alex Zachman, welcome, buddy. That's Alex from Old North Collective. So anyways, Alex, you missed the demo, unfortunately, but we did a full demo of the keyword cluster and then the answer engine and then the content brief. So I'll send you the video, Alex. You can check that out. But the other piece of this is, okay, well, you can imagine having to have a writer that is very close to the SEO side of the puzzle in order to really make the old system work. With this new system, with Phrase and with the content brief that it creates, it allows you, when you get good at it, to go from answer engine to content brief, edit that content brief in under half an hour, and then you hand that to any writer. It doesn't matter how close they are to the subject, to the keyword, which allows you to really outsource the writing process and to really trim margins off on the writing process, at least on that first draft. So what I like to look at is, a platform like Verblio, which will have another AMA like this with Verblio. So you have your content brief being created, then you have a content process that's powered by another platform that's white labeled as well. So you can white label Phrase, you can white label Verblio, and then the content production engine is done. And then you and your team internally can, edit that final draft to be whatever you want on the design side and trim it up. But I mean, the cost savings, time savings, and increasing the accuracy of this keyword is is where phrase is just, it's unrivaled in my opinion. It's incredible. So
there's one thing that I would like to add to that, Alex.
Yeah.
I've found that it's actually helped to build relationships with my clients because as you and I have talked, I mean, we do highly technical topics with clients. I mean, a good chunk of our clients are in biotech and pharmaceuticals. So being able to do low-hanging fruit that get initial wins with SEO, but then being able to have some sort of outline that we can hand internally to one of our pharmaceutical or biotech clients and have them write it from a subject matter expert perspective. We then end up taking it in, we copy edit it, make it a little bit more simple, and then we're able to post it. So what we find is that we're able to have an affordable SEO retainer, but then we're also able to build a much more robust relationship with our client because we're becoming a part of their team versus just a vendor.
Huge. Yeah, that's the other side of it that honestly I didn't consider, but that if you
and then since we're
brief to the client, if they want to write it in house, they don't want you to write their content from. If you send them this content brief that's well researched, it's very, it looks like you've done a ton of man hours actually creating that content brief, just the way it's structured and the amount of complexity. It's a 14-page brief. I've been handed these by my SEO agencies in the past and been charged a few $1,000s for each one of them. And that, that's something that as an agency, I mean.
Oh, it's cooler too, because like when you're actually trying to look for like authority and backlinking and things like that, again, because we're in really technical verticals, we're able to walk down the street to a tertiary competitor that we're able to say, hey, let's work together. And hey, I need you to write a blog about something. And hey, here's the keywords that you need to include. Here's the topic. Make me something. I'll copy edit it for you. And then we're able to very easily build robust relationships for our clients. So what we've found is that like not only is this SEO, we've helped a couple of our clients actually build strategic partnerships in their verticals because of who we've reached out to for SEO backlinking and guest blogging. And that is more valuable than just the returns off of having a SEO optimized article.
Ooh, that's okay. So another way in for potential clients you're trying to sell into. So if you want to gain that new client, I mean, if you sent them one of these content briefs about one of their one of the keywords they're going after and what's going on in the competitive landscape, sent them one of these really robust keyword analysis for these content briefs. That could be just a really good way to just hop on the phone as well. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Well, I hope everybody has some good ideas. I mean, Matt, if you have any other questions, feel free. I mean, we've got about 6 minutes, but if everyone is pretty good, I'll send you out to everybody, but feel free to ask any other questions.
I would, let me just add one thing that based on the conversation here, I think might be interesting as well. I'm going to share my screen really quick. I'm not going to do a full example, but I'm going to sort of talk through it. Can you see through that? Or no, sorry. How's that? Can you see this?
Yeah.
So another thing, and I think we're talking about services. So I think this might also be interesting to you guys. Another thing that Phrase allows you to do is it allows you to crawl your clients' websites entirely. So an entire website so for example, if I wanted to crawl, I think I've done, this is like a health and beauty website. If I wanted to say how well optimized is this website for skincare products, let's say, Phrase will basically give you a roadmap of the exact articles that need to be optimized in order to rank for this search term. So this is another service that you could build, a sort of like a website audit and a website revamp or refresh service as well, which you can then, of course, use the content creation tools to supplement as well. So this is like a brand new feature on Phrase, or just sometimes I forget to talk about it, but also potentially really valuable in the services aspects of the for agencies. 105% processed.
That's some efficient processing right there, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay, guys. Yeah. Any final questions before we hop off?
Sure. It seems like Phrase will allow the agency to be confident to offer SEO services. Like you said, you just use Phrase and Verbio instead of outsourcing it. Like I said before, without having to worry about burning bridges by giving it to the white label platform who may not be provide a quality service. It seems like you can definitely much more accurately deliver and fulfill to offer SEO.
Yeah.
Keep the clients happy.
Yeah, I think the big thing there is, if you're not an SEO, if you don't market yourself as an SEO agency, this is a great opportunity for you to still be valuable on the SEO side of things and really show your clients like, hey, I can give you this and I can show you this and I'll do the action on top of that. I'll create the content. I'll do what I normally do, but we don't need a third-party SEO now that we have Phrase. We can do the content ideation in-house. And then I'm really good at videography. I'm really good at content production, whatever it is. And you keep all that to yourself and save your clients a ton of money and time. And then you retain that value. And then they move off that SEO budget and maybe push that budget towards more content or videos or something else, right?
Well, I'd like to add to that because when Matt and I were talking last week, we were talking about how to position this. And I really feel that everybody that's out there at the moment peddling SEO services, there are going to be some exceptions. I'm not going to tarnish everybody with the same brush. But a lot of them are those, backlink seeking. They're going to be sending out those stock emails to everybody saying, hey, I loved your website. This article in particular, will you give us a link to this one of ours that is very similar? And it's, and I don't think there's a lot of value in that sort of automated outreach approach when it comes to backlinks. Mm-hmm. It's about quality content and people wanting to share that and create those backlinks organically from high authority sites. And this is exactly the approach that's going to get you that. So I think if you're going to position this service and you're going to either go into that SEO space or try and challenge in that space, then I think you can call out a few the more traditional outdated thinkers in the space and position yourselves as the ones that are doing it based on evidence, based on, strengthening a client's own content and using the resources they've already got.
Yep. Save the money for the content and the assets. Use Phrase for the ideation and your clients will love you. I think I'm pretty excited. I'm already using it. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks, Matt. I mean, that's huge. Boo. Thanks for joining us.
One question. Normally, if someone was offering SEO as a retainer, how much would they charge to kind of really deliver on that level without Phrase, Is that like 5K, 10K? I mean,
yeah, Matt, that's what our course is going to be about. So Matt and I are actually recording a course this week about how to sell a service on top of Phrase. So we're going to give you some example retainers, some markups, some value add, a full funnel actually. So I'll share that with you. But unless, Matt, you have a quick answer for him. I think it's kind of a loaded question because it depends how you're going to sell it. But
what was your question? How somebody would price an SEO service without Phrase, like before Phrase?
Right. For that quality of work, it sounds expensive now. Now that I think about it, it sounds like 5K, 10K range, perhaps. I'm not too sure.
I'm probably not the best person to one of the other Matts would probably be better to answer that than me.
Yeah,
Matt H.
Well, we've not offered SEO services in its own right, and again, it depends on the approach that's being taken and how much content creation is included in the service. But depending, if you're dealing with, I always sell on value. So if you can get somebody or their organization to the third position from page 10, for a term that's going to bring them some highly qualified clients, then that investment 5-10K retainer just pales in comparison to the benefit they're going to get. So I don't think there's any reason not to be at that sort of level and beyond.
Yep, agreed. All right, guys, I got to jump. Thanks again to Matt. Thank you, Booze. Thank you, other Matt. And
thanks, everyone.
you guys the video. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Alex.
Bye.
Bye.